The number one reason most people in society are miserable, angry, frustrated, and sick is because they have built an unhealthy attachment to something or someone that they cannot control. When it comes to women, don't think about the future or the outcome. Always have extremely low expectations. Don't put them on a pedestal. Don't think about what if or what could be. Because once you start doing that, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. This is key. If you want to remain unattached to women, be emotionless. Okay? You guys have to practice this. Don't become emotional and get frustrated with women when they do things. Because a lot of women, what they will do is they'll pull some stunt, or they'll say something, or they'll come over your house and not have sex, or they'll, do something out of the norm. And women want to push a button so you can become emotional and frustrated and argue with them. And that means you're getting attached to them. This is what a lot of women do. They'll nag and they'll start arguments because they want you to get attached to the situation and use your emotions on them. Don't do it. Very important video, guys, because I'm going to highlight and talk about how men get attached to women and how you can keep yourself from getting attached to women, okay? Women have game. Yes, they do. They have their tricks, they have their schemes on how to get you hooked, okay? So what you need to do is be mindful of how much you give to women. Not just financially, but your time, your energy, your text message, your phone calls. Because all this is doing is setting you up for failure. And the reason why it's setting you up for failure and heartbreak and disappointment, because I get a lot of consultation from guys and they say, Darius, I gave this woman everything. I did all this stuff. And this is how you guys get attached to women. So less is more. You guys are setting yourself up for heartache because you're constantly giving. And I know us men, we're doers. And when it comes to quote unquote love and all this stuff like that in relationships and situationships, we like to give, right? Because if it wasn't for us men making things happen and moving the ball forward, what would happen with situations in relationship with women? They wouldn't go anywhere. So this video is very important, okay? Stop investing so much into women. Make sure she's giving just as much as you're giving. Just give you an example. Let's say you want to meet up with a woman and hang out with a chick, right? And you want to have a good time. What you do is you meet up for coffee or you meet up at a park. Those are the only two things you're going to do on the first, second, third, get together, whatever, right? Because you want to invest as little as possible. The more you give, the harder it's going to be for you to leave that situation with that woman. I see it all the time, man. Guys coming with these extravagant dinners, all the rooftop dinners and buying all these drinks and doing all this stuff like that. This is why a lot of women say, oh, I want a guy to take me out. I want a guy to do this for me and show me that he cares, show me a good time. It's designed for you to stay attached and get attached to her. Because the more you invest, women know, they have game too, the less likely you will be to leave her. This is why women always want you to give and do all these different things. Another way a woman will try to get you invested in her and attached is if you guys are texting on. That's why I told you, keep your text message to a minimum. Don't FaceTime her. Don't be calling and doing all this stuff like that, because she's trying to get your non-sexual attention and get you to invest so you won't go anywhere. Okay? A big part of a woman's life is to find different nooks and crannies and schemes and the blueprint on how to get a guy attached. And what you don't want to do is get attached. And the reason why you don't want to get attached to women, because they're so wishy-washy. They're up and down. You don't know if they're going to be here tomorrow. You don't know if they're going to be here next week, next month, next year. I'm quite sure a lot of guys have had women that say, oh, I love you, baby. I would never leave you. I care about you. You're such an amazing man, right? I had that too. I had a few women tell me that. And guess what? They left. And I ain't talking about a year later. I'm talking about less than a week later. This is why, guys, don't get attached to women. Stop worrying about the outcome. Stop worrying about the future. All right? So many of you guys are so determined to keep her around and so worried about the outcome and you guys sticking together and working together. Listen, I'm gonna be honest, man. The most cooperation I've gotten, the best relationships I've had with women, situationships, they came from when I was not attached to them. And I found out that the less I did for them, the more they came around to me and the more they did for me. Okay? So less is more. My life became 1,000 times easier, my brothers. I'm telling you, when you invest little as possible, and that means money, time, energy, your emotions. Don't be letting women know how you feel and all this stuff like that, because you're investing. Here's the thing, a lot of women can use that against you. And also, if she wanted to leave you, she can leave you. Then you feel like, man, I told her my secrets, man. I told her everything that I knew. I thought she would stick by me. That's not how women work. Remember, they're up and down. They're like roller coasters. Just think about it. Would you get on a roller coaster if the bolts and screws were kind of, you know, not checked and not screwed in all the way? No. So why would you get attached to a woman and hop on board with her? She must prove herself, okay? Because as us men, we're solid. We're concrete. If a woman wants to talk to me about something, I'm not going to hold that against her or, you know, say, man, I'm out of here. I'm not going to do any of that, right? And if a woman invests in me financially or whatever, I'm not going to just kick her to the curb like that, right? And because I just feel like it one day. That's women. That's why I tell you guys, when you get attached, man, you're going to lose 99.9% of the time. Don't do it. Listen, attachment is the root of all suffering. The less attached you are to women, the better you will become, the better your life will be, okay? And I'm not saying you can't have a good time, but what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is you're setting yourself up for a lot of heartache, a lot of pain and misery, okay? Because when you get attached to women, they are in control. And we all know women don't even control their lives. Their feelings control their lives. They're slaves to their emotions. Their emotions control their thinking, their logic, their everything. This is why I laugh a lot, because I see guys just getting attached and doing all this stuff and crying over these women and saying all this stuff. Like, that's because you invested. You invested into Mother Nature. And you see these clouds up here? Looks good, doesn't it? I live in Chicago. Let me tell you something. It's going to rain in a day or two. It's going to get windy. Okay? So I can't trust this weather. And you guys shouldn't trust women and get attached to women. You see what I'm saying? I know it's kind of hard for you guys to not to get attached, but you got to realize you have to be in the moment. Have fun in the moment. And then when she goes, she goes. Okay? Because I have fun with a lot of women, and guess what? I didn't hear from the next day. And you're like, what the heck happened? And you start getting frustrated. You're like, man, and you try to text her, and guess what? You're investing more. That's what I told you guys. Text message to a minimum. No phone calls. None of all this crazy stuff. Because the more you give, the harder and harder and harder it's going to be for you to leave. And this is why a lot of guys become suicidal. Because they're giving all this money. And they think that if I give a woman all this time and resources, and I show her and I prove to her that I'm the one, then she'll stick around. But guess what? Women will look elsewhere. Women will have a change of heart. You wouldn't, but she would. So then she gets rid of you, and then you so attached that you start, you know, chasing her down. Chasing means you're investing. So, when you're pursuing a woman, you're wasting a lot of energy, a lot of time. You're stressing yourself out, and women understand this. This is why when a woman flakes on you, and sometimes she'll do it intentionally because she wants you to invest. And if you give her another opportunity, you're going to be so thirsty for her, and you're going to want the outcome to go in your favor, which is sex, and it's going to be hard for you to get rid of her. This is why a lot of times women flake on you and ask to reschedule or whatever the case may be, because they want to see if you're really, truly invested. Because when you get invested in her and you give her another chance and you reschedule another date, that means there's a high chance that you won't get rid of her. This is how women think.